The hiatus is over. Ren, the Renegades, the Money Game series. Go ahead and cue that intro. Let's get right into it.
Turn that shit up.
I knew I had to come back. I knew I had to take Money Game and break it down. So yes, this will be a quick series. I'll do the best that I can to get these out within the next week. I'm gonna ask questions, I'm sure. I want you guys to let me know what you think, but without further ado, I don't wanna hold this up anymore. Ren gives me the emotions, he makes me think differently, and I appreciate that. But Ren, Money Game, part 1, we will run through this series, but we'll stick with 1. I want to make sure that I break it down correctly. Let's go. Let's get it. I like the simplicity already.
It's a strange time we're living in. Woke and put fear in. Hierarchy parties, they make us feel inferior. Greed runs through parliament interiors. Devils walk among us, they fit the criteria. Eerie, theory, strife, fearing, weary-minded men when we're clearly living in dictatorships. Nearly blinded by illusions to choose who's fooling who. A ball chain to your shoes,
Okay. So what I'm already picking up is that greed portion of it. Obviously, it's called Money Game, so I understand. But I just needed to know who he was talking about. Now it seems like he's talking about that capitalism, the greed of the government, society, and of course that means there's going to be more corruption. Of course that means we know people are going to become trapped. And from the visual, it looks like he has captured somebody. So I don't know if he's playing the role of cat and mouse. Let me chase you around, and then when you're trapped, I know that I have you. That is the whole goal of the government. That's just what it is when we talk about financial freedom. And it's not just financial freedom. It's about freedom in general. Run it back. Let's go. This is deep. And there's so many layers because the lyrics itself also give a little bit of bounciness and playfulness, but the wordplay's good.
It's a strange time we're living in. Woke and put fear in. Hierarchy parties, they make us feel inferior. Greed runs through parliament interiors. Devils walk among us, they fit the criteria. Eerie, theory, strife, fearing, weary-minded men when we're clearly living in dictatorships. Nearly blinded by illusions to choose who's fooling who. A ball chain to your shoes, pain. It's a crying shame. The pursuit of our own wealth lights a flame that makes greed a game that lets this whole world burn. As the world turns, the whole world burns.
Okay, so there's a couple things visually I want to point out. So you ever think about the old school history when it talks about the kings and having a gesture? I feel like the person that he's got locked up is the jester. Play for me. And I will be able to move the pieces how I want to. I actually wrote a piece about this. I might drop it after this. But if I know I have control, I have you surrounded. You are now my slave, and you can do what I need you to do. So I get control, and I can control every move that you make. That's what Ren is talking about. I like this a lot. Watch how he seemingly plays and just toys with this person.
Of our own wealth lights a flame that makes greed a game that lets this whole world burn. As the world turns, the whole world burns.
That's deep.
But money was invented for trade, but now those bits of paper twist hearts, make slaves, turns a saint into a sinner, a child into a killer. His finger on the trigger of a money game. Oh, rain, 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 rain. A storm it comes our way.
That voice?
And those who rise through distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we like to point the blame.
Ooh.
It's easier to blame, but point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this old money game. Stop.
So you see that control right there? Told him to stop, he stopped. Now he's circling because you don't know his next move. You might be able to hear him, but you don't know what the next move is because you can't see.
This old money game.
So I actually like that part right there because if you don't follow the rules that we have set out for you, what is that sound that you usually hear? You you usually hear that jail cell or that prison cell closing. And it almost seems like he wanted to mimic that in that time. Let me remind you what's going to happen if you don't follow the rules that I have set before you. Because since money was trade, and that's what it was originated for, and now we've flipped it, which he talked about, now people are too greedy. It's no longer used for trade. It's used for economic status. The status of who you are is still controlled by the government if you put that first. Run that back and listen to how it sounds when he rubs that bat across that gate. You're trapped. And even put a glove on saying, no business. Well done.
Dear Mr. President, it's evident that everyone's a resident of fear when they support these ideas that keep us separate, when they make us believe that everybody is coming to terrorize you in the streets. They say badly through gritted teeth, that's my right to hate, that's freedom of speech.
So we got freedom of speech and we got immaculate wordplay. Let's not go ahead and skip past that. I will probably run that back, but the wordplay that was just given, and then also something else I thought about, this feels like the Walking Dead Negan right here. This is the get up that he has, because Negan had that barbed wire wrapped around, and one of the most gruesome scenes that you'll ever witness is when Negan handles business his way. I don't want to speak on it. I don't want to ruin that for anybody that's never seen that show, but the control of the government, and even how Negan had his control was driven by fear. Now, the government controls you by fear. But if you want to be aligned with the dream, whether it be American, British, whatever the case is, you will not move up in the ladder economically unless you follow this path. Just well done.
That everyone's a resident of fear when they support these ideas that keep us separate, when they make us believe that everybody is coming to terrorize you in the streets. They say badly through gritted teeth, that's my right to hate, that's freedom of speech. But when did freedom become a reason to hate? A way to justify a racist slur or insult we make? There's an irony in freedom, cause us in the West, we have pillaged and plundered the murder like savages, colonized all of the rest. That's called hypocrisy. Preach a certain value that you never keep yourselves. Your country was in flames, you denigrate yourselves in a second. Still you spit your venom, demonizing immigrants when really you're the immigrant. Cause all of us are immigrants or descended from immigrants. Irony is imminent, I'll shed the light on immigrants. America was colonized by Britain. Britain, it was colonized by Rome, and also colonized by the Saxons. They were German, by the way. You know how people throw shade upon the Germans because of history's pain, and yet we made the same mistakes all again. Demonize a whole people, Jewish or Muslim, the same and the same.
Okay, that was a lot to take in, but I followed every single piece. And the reason why I say that, and I'm going to ask a question after I get done with this, but history repeats itself. The thing that we fight for from one culture, and I'm just going to be blatantly honest, we will then hope that someone else takes the bottom spot in order for us to feel like we matter. That is crazy, because if you really think about the Tower of Babylon, and yes, I am going there, then you know that everybody was given different speech, but that freedom to be yourself still made cultures what they were. Just because you were slightly different did not mean that you could not communicate. It just made it a little bit more difficult. Culture is the same way. We might have a different voice, but it doesn't mean that we are inferior to another culture. It just means we operate differently. We were brought up in different regions. But with histories telling you that land is the most important thing, money and status is the most important thing, this is where we get things mixed up. So my question is, why do you think that he would bring history into this? And why do you think that's important to understand? Let me know what you think.
Situations play on repeat, the same old TV shows repeat. Yeah, we worship the bleak, our opinions aren't our own, and we follow like sheep. There's no left, there's no right, in the middle we sleep.
Hold on.
Rain.
Let me run that back. I want to make sure that I caught everything. I'm gonna let it play out a little bit further.
They were German, by the way. You know how people throw shade upon the Germans because of history's pain, and yet we made the same mistakes all again. Demonize a whole people, Jewish or Muslim, the same and the same. Old situations play on repeat, the same old TV shows repeat. Yeah, we worship the bleak, our opinions aren't our own, and we follow like sheep. There's no left, there's no right, in the middle we sleep. Rain, 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 a storm it comes our way.
The quick play on words with the left and the right. I mean, think about what the economic status and where we get the most divide. It's when people are majority left and the majority right. And it doesn't mean that anybody's wrong. You just have to figure out a way to communicate what is the goal, what is actually important, and what are we trying to align ourselves democratically to in this bureaucracy of making sure that we are going the right way. I don't want to go into that. We can have a whole nother conversation on that. Maybe we should do that on Patreon. If y'all want to do that, let me know. Drop it in the comments. Let's go.
And those who rise through distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we like to point the blame. It's easier to blame, but point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
Just take the beatings and what? Because I have control? Is this a nod to the government basically saying that you have the ability to burn everything down? But the mirror itself? Where are we going with this, Ren? I like the fact you could hear him take his microphone off. Okay. So here's what I get from this. This is like that self-reflection. He talked about looking in the mirror, and he talked about knowing your role in what you really give to this. And look at his eyes right here. Notice the passion and the regret almost that he has, because political people, they will gain certain amounts of money and then they will still feel empty. Everybody has been there where they had too much of something and they did not have the same value for it because they already had it. When you're trying to get something is when it's important. But this self-reflection right here shows the importance of this system, him seemingly being a part of the system. And then watching the person be afraid and have control. At the end of the day, the control doesn't matter. Let's go. If I'm breaking this down the right way, that I'm looking at the capitalism, the greed, I'm thinking about the social and political commentary that he just gave to that piece and why it's so important. And then he mentions that freedom. But what he seemingly realizes is, although he may have control, someone is controlling him. There's another master that he serves, and the master that he's actually serving is money. And he's actually serving the control that he wants for other people. So in order to keep people at bay, he will do anything to keep that status, which eventually and inevitably controls him. That's where that self-reflection piece really comes into play. Think about it like this, and I'm gonna ask this question. Do you think the perspective and challenges that he just addressed is still implicated in modern society? Do you think that you feed into that? Do you think that something controls you? Because it's not just a money game, it's the game of life. You're not moving around the board, you're creating a family, you're creating a system, but what are you giving to the family, to the life that is most important, and how are you raising people? To what standard? I know that's a lot to answer, but I look forward to your answers in the comments. I really do want to know. I want to connect with you guys and see, where does your brain think about this? Like, how do you feel about the politics? You don't have to go deep into it, but is there skewed things that we need to take a look at? And if so, what can you do about it? Do you have the positional power or the voice to even say, hey, we need to change this? I look forward to you guys' comments. I do appreciate you guys coming in. And if you haven't, go check out other music. This is going to be dropping on Patreon. And honestly, if you do want to donate to the Patreon and just buy me another coffee, there's a way to do that. Go ahead and check that out. Y'all take it easy. Most of all, y'all stay blessed.